The dust fields of Kalar 9 were quiet that morning. The pale orange sand lay still under a thin sky, and nothing moved except the soft wind that dragged long trails across the ground. Dr. Aaron Hale stood alone beside his research crawler, checking the readings on his hand tablet. It was supposed to be a boring day. He had come to this moon to study soil minerals, not meet aliens, not solve galaxy-level problems, and certainly not save lives. But the universe did not always care about someone's plans. Hale took a slow breath. The air tasted dry, almost metallic. He looked up at the horizon, scanning the empty stretch. This place was painfully silent, so silent that every little noise felt loud. That was why the sudden distant boom made him jump. He spun toward the sound. A thin trail of smoke cut across the sky like a black knife. The smoke line twisted left, then right, then dipped sharply toward the ground. "A ship?" Hale whispered. Another explosion echoed across the desert. The smoke thickened, and the object inside it grew larger, falling faster and faster. Hale's heartbeat quickened. He could not tell if it was human or alien. There were too many ships traveling this sector these days. But he knew one thing, clearly. It was going to crash. The ship slammed into the far sandfields with a thunderous impact, throwing up a huge cloud of orange dust. Even from a kilometer away, Hale felt the ground tremble under his boots. He stood frozen for a moment, his mind filled with questions, warnings, and fear. But fear never helped anyone. He forced himself to breathe slowly. The ship might have survivors. He was the only living being within tens of kilometers. If he did nothing, someone could die. He ran toward his crawler, climbed into the driver's seat, and started the engine. The crawler's wheels spun against the sand and then surged forward, cutting straight toward the crash site. As he drove, Hale prepared his equipment: first aid kit, oxygen mask, translator module, and portable field scanner. His hands moved fast, practiced, calm. Years of emergency training kicked in. Yet one thought stayed in the back of his mind. Please let there be someone alive. The crawler bounced violently across the terrain. But Hale kept going. Within minutes, he saw the crashed ship clearly. It was half buried in the sand, its metal hull bent and broken, its rear thrusters cracked open like crushed shells. Sparks jumped from exposed wiring, and small fires crackled along the edges. The ship was not human. Its body was sleek, shaped like a long crescent, with armored plates arranged like scales. The metal surface shimmered with a color he could not name, something between blue and silver, but always shifting. It was beautiful even in its wrecked state. Hale parked the crawler and hurried toward the ship. The air near it was hot from the crash. He activated his translator and tapped the hull. "Hello?" he called. "Is anyone alive in there? I'm here to help." For a moment, he heard nothing. Then, from inside the ship, something banged weakly against metal. Hale's heart leapt. Someone was alive. He found the emergency hatch twisted, jammed, but still accessible. He worked quickly, using a small plasma cutter to slice off a bent section. Smoke flowed out as the hatch loosened. The moment he opened it, a blast of hot air hit him in the face. He coughed, waved the smoke away, and climbed inside. The interior of the ship was dark, lit only by flickering red emergency lights. Wires hung from the ceiling like tangled vines. A strong chemical smell filled the air, sharp and bitter. Hale moved carefully, avoiding exposed metal and stepping around shards of the broken hull. Then he heard a low, pained groan. He turned fast. At the back of the cabin lay a tall alien pilot, half collapsed against the control chair. His skin was pale lavender, marked with faint glowing lines that pulsed slowly like veins of light. His four-fingered hands gripped his right arm, and his breathing was heavy and strained. Hale approached slowly, hands open. "It's okay," he said, kneeling beside him, The alien tried to speak, but his voice trembled, and his eyes widened with fear. Hale's breath caught. A strange, crystal-like growth covered the alien's arm, shiny, sharp, and pulsating like something alive. It spread up from the wrist to the shoulder, glowing faintly with deep purple light. But the terrifying part was not the glow, it was the movement. The growth was slowly expanding, crawling across the skin like roots searching for new ground. "What is that?" Hale whispered. The alien shook his head weakly. When he spoke, his voice came through the translator as a broken whisper. "No, enough." His breathing grew ragged. "It keeps growing. Please, find a cure." Hale swallowed hard. He had seen infections, parasites, and strange alien diseases before. But nothing like this. The growth reacted to the alien's panic. When the alien trembled, the crystal tendrils spread faster, inch by inch. He had to calm him fast. "Hey, look at me," Hale said gently. "I'm going to help you, but you must breathe slowly. Try to stay calm. I'm not leaving you." The alien's luminous eyes focused on him, desperate and afraid. The growth pulsed faster. Hale touched the alien's shoulder, lightly. "You're not alone, I promise." The alien exhaled slowly. The glowing veins along his skin dimmed slightly. The growth slowed. "Good," Hale whispered. "Just keep breathing like that." He lifted the alien carefully, supporting his weight. The pilot winced in pain but did not struggle. Hale guided him out of the wrecked ship, helping him step onto the cold sand. The moment they reached open air, the alien gasped again. The growth on his arm reacted to the sunlight brightening, spreading faster. Hale cursed under his breath and shielded the arm with his jacket. "Okay, no sunlight." "Got it." He helped the alien toward the crawler. The pilot's steps were uneven, weak. Hale could feel tremors passing through his body. Fear, exhaustion, maybe something worse. When they reached the crawler, Hale eased the alien into the back seat and placed a cooling pad under his arm to slow the reaction. The alien winced, but nodded faintly in thanks. Hale tapped his communicator. "Emergency quarantine protocol. Activate," he ordered. Panels inside the crawler shifted automatically, sealing off the back compartment with transparent shielding. A soft blue sterilizing mist filled the space, safe for the alien, but deadly to most harmful microbes. Hale sat in the driver's seat and started the engine. "We're heading to my research dome," he said. The alien blinked slowly, struggling to stay conscious. "What is your name?" the alien asked. "Aaron Hale," he replied. "But you can call me Hale." The alien closed his eyes for a moment. "Kethar," he said softly. "This one is Kethar." "Kethar. Okay, Kethar. You're going to be fine. I'll do everything I can." Kethar opened his eyes again. "The growth, it never stops. It learns. It feeds. Many have fallen to it." His voice shook. "No cure. My people, they gave up." Hale looked back at him through the transparent shield. The alien's face showed fear, pain, and something deeper, hopelessness. "Well," Hale said quietly, gripping the controls, "your people have never met a stubborn human scientist before." Kethar stared at him, confused, but hopeful. The crawler sped across the dust fields, leaving the crashed ship behind. Hale kept his eyes forward, but inside, his mind was racing. He had no idea what that organism was. He had no idea how to stop it. He had no idea if anyone else was infected out there. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. He would find a way. He had to. Because an alien had begged him for help. And humans never turned away from a challenge. Not when someone's life depended on them. The research dome stood alone on a small plateau of dark rock, surrounded by endless orange sand. It was not a large building, just a rounded structure made of silver plates, with a tall antenna stretching upward like a thin metal finger. Normally, it was peaceful there. Hale often worked in silence, listening to the hum of his machines and the soft wind outside. But today, everything felt different. The crawler raced up the ramp toward the dome, its engines roaring as Hale pushed it to maximum speed. Kethar lay half-conscious in the back compartment, the strange crystal growth on his arm flickering like a heartbeat. Every few seconds, the purple light inside the growth pulsed stronger, as if the organism were waking up, sensing new energy around it. Hale kept glancing back, worry tightening his chest. "Stay with me, Kethar," he said. "We're almost there." Kethar's eyes opened weakly. "It responds," he whispered. "It listens to fear." Hale frowned. "Listens?" Kethar nodded slightly. "When heart races, it grows faster. When mind is calm, it slows. Living. Parasite." Hale felt chills down his spine. A parasite that reacted to emotions that was something entirely new. The crawler rolled to a stop beside the dome's entrance. Hale jumped out immediately and opened the quarantine chamber. Using both arms, he helped Kethar out of the crawler. The alien was taller than him and heavier, so Hale struggled under his weight. But he didn't stop. "Play Sci. Any two, any tan. Easy," he said softly. "Follow my voice. Focus on breathing. We're going inside." The dome's door opened with a hiss, scanning both of them with blue light before letting them enter. The air inside was cool and sterile. Machines beeped quietly along the walls, their screens glowing with pale green displays. Hale guided Kethar to the medical bench in the center of the dome. The alien sat weakly, leaning against the padded wall as the crystal growth crackled faintly. The moment Kethar touched the bench, the sensors above him flickered wildly. Hale hurried to the control panel. The readings made his eyes widen. The organism was emitting microgravitational waves, tiny, unstable distortions in space. They were small now. But if they grew stronger, "This is not good," Hale muttered. He activated 3 scanning drones. The small silver spheres floated upward, circling Kethar and projecting light over the infected arm. The holographic display showed the parasite in detail for the first time. The organism was not just growing on Kethar's skin, it was connecting into his nerves. Thin crystalline tendrils burrowed under the surface, linking to muscles, bone, and bioelectric signals. The parasite was not simply using his body. It was learning from it. Hale stepped closer, studying the growth carefully. "It's almost like it's trying to talk to your nervous system," he said. Kethar nodded weakly, wincing. "It takes control. Slowly. First the arm, then the mind." Hale froze. Kethar looked at him with fear shimmering in his bright eyes. "Yes, many pilots lost themselves before we could free them." Hale's jaw tightened. "Then we need to stop it before it reaches your torso." He opened a drawer and pulled out a sterilized toolkit. Scanners, microlasers, biosample rods, and a portable DNA analyzer. He slipped on medical gloves and approached the growth. "Kethar, I need a sample. It may hurt." Kethar nodded. "Do it." Hale activated the microlaser, making a tiny cut near the crystal. Purple sparks jumped out. The organism reacted instantly, tendrils shifting like they were alive and aware. But Hale was faster. He grabbed a tiny fragment with a rod and sealed it inside a containment capsule. The crystal sample pulsed inside the capsule, as if angry. Kethar groaned in pain and leaned back. The growth brightened for a moment, then slowly dimmed. "Hold on," Hale said. "I'll analyze this." He placed the sample into the DNA analyzer. The machine hummed, lights flickering rapidly, as it scanned and broke down the crystal at microscopic levels. The results came in quickly. And they were terrifying. The parasite had no single DNA chain. Instead, it had adaptive genetic threads that changed shape constantly. Hale stared at the screen, shocked. This thing rewrites itself every few minutes. Kethar closed his eyes. Yes, that is why no treatment works. It always becomes something else. Hale exhaled sharply. That explained everything why other species gave up. Why the organism was unstoppable. But wait, Hale murmured, leaning closer to the screen. It depends on bioelectric signals to change form. It needs emotional spikes, fear, panic to accelerate. Kethar nodded faintly. Yes, it drinks fear. Hale thought fast. Then maybe, if we control the emotional response, we can control its growth. Kethar looked confused. How humans can do that? Hale gave a small, confident smile. Humans have a lot of experience dealing with stress. We train for it. We study it. We have machines that regulate emotional patterns. And lucky for you, he walked across the dome and opened a storage cabinet. I brought one of those machines here. He pulled out a small, band-like device, the neural calm regulator. This device can stabilize thought patterns and emotional waves. If we put it on you, your fear signals will drop. The parasite will have less to feed on. Kethar blinked slowly. You think humans can help because they understand fear? Hale nodded. Humans battle fear every day. We're good at it. He stepped forward and gently placed the band against Kethar's forehead. The device lit up with soft blue light, sending calming signals into the brain. Within seconds, Kethar's breathing slowed. The parasite reacted. For the first time since Hale found him, the crystal growth actually shrank. Not much, maybe a few millimeters. But it was enough to prove that Hale's theory was correct. Kethar stared at his arm in disbelief. It stopped growing. Hale smiled. Yes, and that means we have a chance. He sat beside Kethar, watching the readings on the monitor behind him. The gravitational waves from the parasite dropped by almost half. The tendrils stopped spreading. The organism pulsed slowly, as if confused. Kethar's voice trembled. My people tried everything. Heat, cold, electricity, lasers. Nothing worked. But you slowed it with a simple human machine? Hale nodded. Sometimes the strongest solutions come from understanding how the mind works. Not just the body. Kethar looked at him with grateful eyes. Humans. Different from what I expected. Different good or different bad? Hale asked, raising an eyebrow. Kethar gave a weak laugh. Good. Very good. But the moment of calm didn't last long. The dome shook. Just a faint vibration barely noticeable, like a deep hum rising from the ground. Hale frowned and checked the readings. Something outside was disturbing the atmosphere. Before he could investigate, every machine in the dome flickered. The lights dimmed for a second. The holographic screens distorted, as if something were bending the space around them. Kethar inhaled sharply. It calls others. Hale turned quickly. What do you mean? Kethar pointed weakly at the growth. When it feels threatened, it sends waves to other organisms, telling them where it is. Hale's voice lowered. There are more of these things? Kethar nodded slowly. Many ships were lost. If even one organism survived, it will come. Hale felt a cold weight in his stomach. He rushed to the dome's windows and looked out into the dust fields. The orange sand shimmered, shifted, moved, as if something beneath it was crawling. Hale stepped back. No. 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 We're not ready for this. Kethar struggled to sit straighter. Hale, listen. No, Hale said firmly, cutting him off. I'm not destroying you. I'm saving you. And if more of these things are coming, then we need to get ahead of them. He turned toward his machines, determination burning in his eyes. We need a real cure, not a delay, not a slowdown. A cure, Cathar whispered. But no species in the galaxy could find one. Hale looked at him with a bold, human stubbornness. Then watch me. The dome continued to shake with a low, rolling vibration. It felt like something heavy was moving under the ground, or like the moon itself was breathing in slow, painful gasps. Hale stood at the window, staring at the shimmering sand outside. Several long lines cut across the surface, as if something beneath it was swimming toward the dome. Cathar watched weakly from the medical bench. The crystal growth on his arm flickered with nervous purple light. It senses movement, he said softly. It knows the others are close. Hale turned back to him. The organism sends a signal when it feels threatened, right? A warning or a call? Cathar nodded. Yes. It tells other organisms where to find food. Hale frowned. Food? You mean nervous systems? Cathar lowered his head. Yes. Living minds. Hale took a slow breath, forcing himself to stay calm. If the organism grew stronger with fear, then panic was the last thing they needed. Okay, Hale said firmly. We've slowed the growth with the neural calm regulator. But that's not enough. If more organisms show up, we're in trouble. We need a real plan. Something permanent. Cathar looked at him with tired eyes. A cure? Hale nodded. Exactly. Something to destroy the parasite without harming the host. Cathar gave a sad smile. Many species tried. The parasite always adapted. Hale pointed to the screens. Yes. But they all tried the same thing, attacking the body. They didn't attack the parasite's behavior. Cathar tilted his head. Behavior? Hale tapped the display, showing the organism's biological pattern. This thing changes shape every few minutes. But it always changes based on the host's emotional and electrical signals. That means it relies on predictable behavior. He turned to Cathar. If we make the organism think everything is normal, we can trap it. Like hypnotizing it. Cathar blinked slowly. Can humans do that? A small smile pulled at Hale's lips. Humans are very good at tricking things that think they are smarter. He moved to the center of the room where a large machine stood, covered with a dark cloth. He pulled the cloth away, revealing a strange device, wires, coils, and a circular frame like a giant metal loop. Cathar stared at it. What is that? A human resonance stabilizer, Hale said. It's used to calm dangerous energy storms on mining colonies. But I rewired this one years ago for biological research. It forces unstable systems into predictable patterns. Cathar struggled to understand. Patterns? Hale nodded. If the parasite follows a predictable pattern, we can starve it. Force it to stop growing. Maybe even shut it down. Cathar looked at him with uncertainty. But how will you make it follow your pattern, not its own? Hale inhaled deeply. By using myself. Cathar's eyes widened. What? No. Human body too weak. Parasite could infect you. Only if I let it, Hale replied calmly. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to link my brain waves to yours through the machine. Your emotional signals will sync with mine. If I stay calm, completely calm, the parasite will fall into the same rhythm. Cathar shook his head. You risk too much. Hale gave a half smile. Humans take risks all the time. It's how we survive. 8. Cathar tried to sit up. If your mind fails, the parasite will break through the device. It will grow faster than before. Hale nodded. Yes, so I must stay calm, no matter what. Cathar stared at him, speechless. This human, this single man was willing to battle a creature no one had ever beaten before. No army. No medical fleet. No alien technology. Just one human scientist with a stubborn heart. Hale started connecting wires to the stabilizer. Once your emotions sync with mine, the parasite's pattern will slow dramatically. If we can hold that state long enough, it will starve. Kethar looked down at the growth. Starve? Like cutting off energy? Exactly, Hale said. No fear. No panic. No bioelectric spike. No food. Kethar sighed. You are brave, Hale. Hale smiled softly. No, I'm human. He placed the second neural calm band around his own head. The device hummed faintly, sending tiny vibrations through his skull. Kethar watched him closely. Your heart. Will it stay steady? Hale chuckled. I've been through worse. Exams, deadlines, 3-hour meetings. Kethar blinked. Hale waved a hand. Trust me. Much scarier than parasites. Kethar gave a weak laugh. Then, Hale placed Kethar's hand inside the stabilizer ring and lowered his own hand inside the opposite ring. The machine came alive, glowing with bright blue energy. The hum rose until it filled the dome with a deep, steady sound. Hale closed his eyes. Okay, Kethar. Just breathe with me. Kethar mirrored him, inhaling slowly. The stabilizer's screen displayed both of their heartbeat lines. At first, they moved differently. Kethar's uneven and fast, Hale's more controlled. But slowly, Hale steadied his breathing, and Kethar's heartbeat began to match. The machine synchronized them with a soft chime. Then the growth reacted. The crystals pulsed bright purple, then dimmed, then pulsed again in a slow rhythm. Hale felt a slight pressure inside his head, like a faint headache. The parasite was trying to read his signals now. Hale focused on calm thoughts, rain, soft wind, a quiet forest, the sound of water. His breathing became smooth, his heartbeat steady. Kethar followed the rhythm, his chest rising and falling peacefully. The parasite's pulsing grew slower, weaker. But suddenly, the dome shook again harder this time. The ground rumbled, and another tremor passed through the structure. Kethar gasped. Outside, something heavy scraped against the dome's surface. A dark shadow moved past the window. Kethar's heart rate spiked. No, stay calm, Hale said urgently. But another loud thud hit the dome, shaking the stabilizer. Kethar's eyes widened in fear. It's here. One of them. Focus on me, Hale insisted. We can't break the pattern. Kethar tried to breathe slowly, but the parasite reacted violently to his fear. The crystals flared bright purple, spreading another centimeter up his shoulder. Hale felt panic rising too, but he crushed it instantly. He kept his voice firm. Kethar, look at me. Listen to my voice. Kethar's breathing slowed again. The parasite's growth paused. But the shadow outside moved again, circling the dome like a predator. A faint scratching sound echoed against the metal walls. The organism outside was searching for a way in. Hale kept his eyes closed. Ignore it. Kethar whispered. How, you stay calm? Hale's voice was steady. Because humans learned long ago how to fight fear. Not with weapons. With control. Another tremor shook the dome. Hale didn't flinch. Kethar stared at him in awe. Your mind. Strong. Hale smiled faintly. All human minds are strong. We just don't always notice. Slowly, the parasite's pulses grew weaker. The glowing crystals began to lose their brightness. Hale checked the screen beside him. It showed the organism's energy levels dropping, bit by bit. It's working, Hale whispered. We're starving it. Kethar looked down at his arm. The parasite was shrinking so slowly, it was almost impossible to see, but shrinking nonetheless. Then a loud crack echoed from outside. Part of the sand collapsed, and something large pushed up from beneath. A massive crystalline limb shaped like twisted glass slammed against the dome. Kethar's heart rate spiked again, It found us. Hale tightened his jaw. Stay calm. We're close. The parasite reacted violently, flaring bright, trying to break the synchronized pattern. Hale felt his temples burning. Sweat dripped down his face, his mind strained under the pressure. But he did not break. Come on, he whispered to himself. Just a little longer. The stabilizer hummed louder, forcing both heartbeats back into rhythm. The parasite flickered, weakened, shrank again. Outside, the giant organism smashed against the dome. But the walls held barely. Kethar gasped. Hale. Hale's eyes remained closed. Doesn't matter. I won't break the pattern. You'll hurt yourself, Kethar said. Hale smiled through the pain. Humans hurt all the time. We still keep going. The parasite pulsed again. Then another. Then, suddenly, it stopped. The crystals turned dark, losing all color. The glow vanished completely. The organism on Kethar's arm went limp, its surface cracking like dry stone. It's dormant, Hale whispered. It shut down. Kethar stared at his arm, disbelief flooding his face. You did it. Hale opened his eyes, exhausted but proud. No, we did it. Outside, the creature moved one last time, then collapsed into the sand as its connection to the central parasite broke. The dome fell silent. Kethar looked at him with deep respect. Humans. Incredible. Hale shook his head. We're just too stubborn to quit. But inside, he knew this was only the beginning. They had stopped one organism, maybe even two. But now they needed a real cure. Something permanent. Something that could save entire worlds. The dome rested in silence after the final tremor faded. The huge creature outside had collapsed, its crystal body sinking slowly into the orange sand like a melting statue. The only sounds inside the dome were the soft hum of machines and Hale's tired breathing. Kethar sat quietly on the medical bench, staring at his arm. The parasite, once glowing and alive, now looked like dark, cracked stone. It no longer moved, no longer pulsed, no longer spread. It was frozen in a dead, inactive state. You did it, Kethar whispered. His voice held disbelief, relief, and something close to awe. Hale, you did what no one else could. Hale rubbed his eyes. He was exhausted, his head still aching from the mental pressure. We stopped one, he said. But this is not a cure. If another parasite finds a new host, it will grow again. And again. And again. Then. And again. Then. Kethar lowered his head. Yes. Many worlds could still be in danger. Hale nodded. That's why we must turn this victory into a solution. He stood and walked to the analysis station. His legs felt weak, but determination pushed him forward. He looked at the dormant parasite on the screen. It was now in a stable pattern, slow, predictable, almost harmless. This, Hale said, pointing to the display, is our key. Kethar tilted his head. Key? Hale nodded. When the parasite followed our synchronized pattern, it lost the ability to adapt. It became trapped. That means the parasite's greatest strength, its ability to change, can become its greatest weakness if we control the rhythm. Kethar slowly stood, his movement steadier now. You want to use the rhythm? As a weapon? Hale shook his head. Not a weapon. A cure. A counterpattern. Kethar blinked. A counterpattern? Hale turned to him. Think of music. If two songs play at the same time, and their rhythms match, they become one. But if their rhythms are opposite, completely different, they cancel each other out. They fall apart. Kethar's eyes widened. You want to break the parasite's pattern by playing the opposite rhythm? Hale smiled. Exactly. A pattern that the parasite cannot adapt to. If we can create that, the organism will collapse every time it tries to change shape. Kethar walked closer, hope slowly warming his face. And you can make this? Hale hesitated. I can try. But I need to understand the parasite's full behavior. That means one thing. He pointed at the dark crystals on Kethar's arm. I need to wake a tiny part of it. Kethar flinched. Wake it? After all we did to stop it? Hale nodded calmly. Only a small piece. And only under full control. I need to see how it reacts to different patterns. That's the only way to build the counterpattern. Kethar stared at him for a long moment. Finally he nodded. Hale gave a grateful smile. Good. Then let's begin. The experiment. Hale carefully cut a tiny crystal fragment from the dormant growth and placed it inside a triple-sealed containment chamber, layers of glass, plasma shielding, and magnetic fields. Even if it revived, it couldn't escape. The fragment floated inside the chamber, inactive. Hale activated the scanners. Let's wake it gently. He fed a soft electrical signal into the chamber. The crystal flickered once, then twice, and slowly, very slowly, it glowed faint purple. Kethar tensed, but Hale raised a calming hand. It's all right. It's contained. The parasite pulsed weakly, like a tiny heartbeat, reacting to the energy around it. Hale watched carefully. Now let's see how it responds to stable rhythm. He played the same emotional pattern that had synchronized Kethar's heartbeat earlier. The crystal's pulsing slowed. It matched the rhythm. Good, Hale whispered. Then he changed the pattern, smooth, steady, and opposite. The parasite reacted violently, pulsing erratically, losing rhythm, shrinking slightly. Kethar stepped closer. It is... Hale nodded. Yes. The opposite rhythm weakens it. That's good. He changed the pattern again, sharper, faster. The parasite wilted further, shrinking like a plant under harsh light. Kethar gasped. Hale, this is the cure. Almost, Hale said. We need a pattern that destroys it completely fast. Safe. And stable. Hours passed as Hale tested rhythm after rhythm. Some worked a little. Some worked a lot. Some did nothing. Kethar assisted him, watching the screens, recording data, offering advice from his species' medical experience. At one point, Hale's eyes burned from tiredness. Kethar touched his shoulder. Rest, Hale. Hale shook his head. No, not until we finish this. And finally, after testing thousands of patterns, Hale found one. A rhythm that made the parasite collapse instantly. On the screen, the crystal fragment shattered into harmless dust. Kethar stepped back, eyes wide. Hale, this is it. This is the cure. Hale leaned back in his chair, letting out a long, tired sigh. Yes, he whispered. A universal counterpattern. He uploaded the pattern into a small handheld device. The screen glowed with a soft blue symbol. A spiral, representing harmony and destruction at once. This, Hale said, will destroy any parasite infection. No needles, no surgery, no drugs, just pure rhythm and energy. Kethar stared at the device with deep respect. Humans are incredible. Hale laughed weakly. The final test. Now came the hardest step, the real parasite on Kethar's arm. Are you ready? Hale asked softly. Kethar inhaled slowly. Yes, do it. Hale raised the device and aimed it at the crystal growth. He activated the pattern. A soft hum filled the room. The crystals flickered, pulsed, then cracked. Kethar winced but stayed still. Hale watched closely. The crystals lost all color, turning gray. Then they crumbled, falling from Kethar's skin like broken glass. In less than 30 seconds, the parasite was gone. Kethar stared at his arm, at the clean skin beneath the remaining dust. The glowing lines along his skin brightened with relief. Hale, he whispered, voice trembling. Hale smiled softly. Yes, You are. Kethar bowed his head deeply. You saved me. You saved my people. You saved many worlds. Hale shook his head. We saved them together. Sending the cure. Hale transferred the counterpattern device's data to his dome's long-range transmitter. The antenna outside hummed with power. This will reach every nearby star system, Hale said. Your people can use this to cure everyone. Kethar's eyes shone with emotion. They will speak your name with honor. Hale shrugged lightly. Just make sure they use the cure. Kethar placed a hand on Hale's shoulder. They will, I promise. Departure. A rescue ship arrived hours later, sleek and silver like Kethar's, but undamaged. Several alien medics rushed out, astonished to see Kethar alive. But what shocked them even more was the cure Hale handed them. Kethar turned to Hale as he prepared to board the ship. You changed everything. Not with armies, not with weapons, with mind and heart. Hale gave a simple smile. That's humanity for you. Kethar raised his fist in salute. We will never forget this. The ship lifted off, leaving a swirl of dust behind. Hale watched it disappear into the sky. The dust fields grew quiet again. He stood alone outside the dome, tired but proud. He had done it. A single human, in a simple dome, on a quiet moon, had saved thousands of lives. Humanity's message echoed across the stars that day. When the galaxy says impossible, humans say, watch us.